It's one of our sacred ceremonies at Mile High Church when we put the baseball up on the drum riser. It symbolizes a time for all of us, a time of innocence, when baseball was really the main thing in this country. And to some of us, it still is. Bless you. Here's what's coming up.
We're so excited for the return of Matt Kahn to Mile High Church on Friday, June 3rd. This will be his first in-person event since the pandemic. He is the embodiment of love and is all about teaching all of us how to be and experience divine love at all times. You can be with us in person or online. Hope you'll join us. June 1st is a deluxe Wednesday Night Live. Our own Dr. Barry Ebert, singer-songwriter extraordinaire, will be singing along with his amazing son, Tony Award-winning Gabriel Ebert. And not only that, we have local artist Ernie Martinez joining us. It's going to be a wonderful night. Please be with us, 7 p.m. in the Teal Sanctuary. See you then.
I'm here in front of the bookstore. Tried to find a noisier place to do this, but I couldn't find one. So our bookstore is open every Sunday. Good opportunity to pick up a card if you forget one for some holiday or something like that. This person that's loitering next to me, this is Karen. She's the manager of the bookstore. But we hope you'll come in anyways. Have a great week.
Good morning. Think about it. There must be higher love down in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, time is wasted time. Look inside your heart, I
a great start, isn't it? Thank you, Laura Berman. Hey, woo, a higher love. Let's see. Buenos dias, buonasera, bonjour. I have just returned from being away for about a month from this place. I missed you so much. And we had a wonderful time on our Mile High cruise all over Europe. And I learned once again that going all over the world and seeing all sorts of things is an amazing experience. I loved every minute of it. And I sort of feel like Dorothy from The Wizard of Oz. There's no place like home. Yes. And for me, home is this community. Home is being here with you. Home is being in this sacred space. Home is being in that place of invitation to grow and expand my own soul and my own journey, and to be inspired and uplifted by that. That's a huge part of home for me. And so I bless you all. I thank you. I'm so happy to see you and be with you this morning. And we've got a beautiful service planned. And I want to remind us all of the amazing vision and mission that we have here at Mile High Church. It fuels us forward as we live our life together. And so if you would indulge me in reading it aloud with enthusiasm, that would be wonderful this morning. Let's start with our vision. Oneness revealed, a world of love, peace, and abundance for all. And our mission, to serve as a spiritual beacon for personal empowerment and global enlightenment. And so that is who we are, that is what we do together. Knowing this and anchoring our awareness in this, we now move into prayerfulness. We take time to sing that beloved song about how God is right here. We take a little bit of time in the silence, and then Dr. Patty will lead us in prayer. Let us begin.
Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place. Surely the presence of God is in this place. I can feel the mighty power and the grace. I can hear the brush of angel wings. I see glory on each face. Surely the presence of God is in this place.
I invite us in this precious moment of prayer to just place our awareness with our breathing, with our breath, and just allow that to take us into that place of stillness. For I believe that stillness and silence is the very language of the infinite, Almighty God, that precious life. So we just still ourselves on our path in this moment. I speak these healing words for each one of us, recognizing that that divine light that we call God is that loving presence. It is the intelligence of the infinite. And that intelligence goes beyond our intelligence of being intelligent and being loving. It goes way beyond that. It's an intelligence that holds all the stars in the sky. It is every ray of sun. Giving thanks that the trees have bowed in blessing of the water that has come to Colorado, giving thanks. So the movement of God is everywhere present. And I just acknowledge that. And what I know is that right where you are, right where I am, that we are that seamless union of the divine. Not a rip or a tear, complete. We are the light of spirit. We came here as that. We are that. And forevermore we will be. So taking a deep breath, breathing that in, that I am, repeating that silently to ourselves in this prayer. Oh, and what I recognize and what I declare this day is that at the very center of who we are, that greater intelligence, we have been cut from a fabric of light, many threads, many, many colors. And each one of us, we are that expression of love. I accept that we are that expression of kindness. And we see as God sees, into the very heart and soul of each one of us. So I declare that this service is so blessed. Dr. Michelle and her incredible message, we're so attuned to it. The tunes of the music, they tickle our hearts. And so with gratitude coming from the flow within our heart space, I say thank you. Thank you, infinite presence, as me, as you, expressing fully. And these words have been spoken indeed. And they've been received by that great love intelligence. And they are manifested here and now. I declare this into being, and so it is. Amen.
I've always put up my fences and held my defenses in front of me, not knowing my heart was imprisoned till you gave me wisdom to find the key. I'm ready to begin. I'm open and love's coming in. When you move through me, when you move through me, you give me the confidence to take back my innocence through me. I've always lived in delusion, trapped in illusion of doubt and fear, and not knowing that change would come my way till I drove a highway free and clear from all my regrets. I am open to what's coming next when you move through me, when you move through
We're so grateful this morning to be welcoming some new members into the church. Speaking of new, Dr. Michelle, you helped coordinate some new practitioners and ministers this past Friday. If you are one of them and you're here or online, can you stand up so we can just briefly acknowledge you? We're so grateful for your incredible service. Oh, they're out there.
Yeah.
And in this time of pandemic and online and in person and online and in person, a little bit of both, a little bit of this, it's important to remember that at the crux, Mile High Church is a community. And there's a time where we come here and we're served by the incredible energy that we experience here. And then there's a time where we say, you know, I don't want to just come here for me, but I want to be a part of that energy and creating it for other people. And that's what membership is. The individuals who we recognize today have said yes, not only to their own spiritual practice and making Mile High Church a part of it, but at some level, whether you know it or not, you said yes to being an owner of this community and being a presence for it, and just know how important your presence is to us, how important and vital your presence is to our spiritual community, and how grateful, what a demonstration you are for Mile High Church.
And I think that membership also is a beautiful demonstration and choice to say, I belong. I belong to community, I belong to the infinite. I choose to acknowledge that belonging by stepping in. And so we're going to acknowledge the members who've joined this time. We usually do this about twice a year, welcome new members. We have a class that they take and they've all completed that class, and many of them are watching online today, so many members are joining from other states. And I think that this membership theme, their theme is difficult names.
Aha. They just made them up to challenge
I'm
you,
sure
to stump
they
the minister.
did. It's this, so I'm going to do my best, but I'm talking about forgiveness in my talk today, and I will pre-request anyone's name I mess up. So I'm going to read the names. Those who are present here will stand. Please hold your applause until we are complete reading the names. And so joining us today, present today, I believe, is Scott McEacham. He's over there. Great. Lori Preen. Daniel Scrabas. I thought he was here.
He's in the video later.
He's in a video later. David Marchori. Where's he? There he is. Chris Kelly. Sue Ronenkamp. Annie Puckett. Noelle Vignola. Jamila Jackson. Amy Palzak. Kimberly Shahan. Andrew Aldenor. That's a tough one. I practiced that one a lot.
Good.
Mm-hmm. Julie Stolley. Dina Harris. Fred Harris. And Rebecca Althaus. These are the new members joining us. Please stay standing and we can acknowledge them with some applause. Yeah. And one more thing before you sit down. We would ask you to make a verbal commitment today to your membership. So I'd like to ask you this question. New members, do you consciously choose membership here at Mile High Church with all the rights, privileges, and commitments it asks of you? If so, say yes. And as you stay standing, anyone who is here in the room with us who has also gone through this beautiful rite of passage and become a member, will you please stand with our new members now? And those members, I ask you, in gratitude for the light of each one, do we joyfully welcome these new members into membership at Mile High Church? If so, please say yes. Yes. And so it is.
I think it's time for the letting go. 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 I must have been crazy to stand my ground. A queen with no fortune, defending her crown. I must have been out of my mind. You think I'd ever learned when every road to redemption crossed a bridge that I burned? Oh no, I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. Fists up high, proclaiming my case at the cost of my soul. Such a disgrace to look inside at what I become, denying my freedom and enslaving the love that was made, that was made. Well, for the sake of the rest of my life, I'm willing to surrender it all. The resentment and fears, the anger and tears, God give me the strength to let it all go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. Forgiveness was all I had left to heal these wounds and clean up the mess. Salvation, well, it came with no price. The moment I knew I didn't have to be right anymore, for the sake of the rest of my life. Yeah. I'm willing to surrender it all, it all. The guilt and the shame, the judgment and blame. God, give me the strength to let it all go. Yeah. For the sake of the rest of my life, I'm willing to surrender it all, it all. The resentment and fears, the anger and tears. Oh, for the sake of the rest of my life, I'm willing to surrender it all, it all. The guilt and the shame, the judgment and blame. God, give me the strength to let it all go. I think it's time for the letting go. Time to let it, time to let it go. I think it's time for the letting go. Time to let it, time to let it go. I think it's time for the letting 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 go.
Laura Berman. Woo! Those last two songs she sang were two original Laura Berman songs, and you can get her music. Yeah. And Craig also wrote those with her, and you can get her music at laurabermanmusic.com. And I want to thank our band before they leave: Rob Lowe, Ken Roundstrauss, Mike Merlier, Bijou Barbosa. What a blessing, what a blessing. We are starting a wonderful series that I look forward to every year. It's a tradition around here called Adventure and Prosperity. And we always form a committee of staff members and members from the community to come together to vision about this every year. What will the theme be? How do we want it to feel? What do we want to talk about? And so I had a great committee that supported this process. They were, I want to acknowledge our committee: Reverend Carol Wilkie, Reverend Jackie Harris, Dr. Kent Rautenstrauss, Jennifer Burnett, Lindsay Portencaso, Karen Thomas, ministerial students Lauren Martin and Bridget McCann, who just graduated on Friday night, yes, and board member Dan Hauk and Reverend Josh. So I want to thank the committee, yes. So the theme, the look, everything you see here on the platform represents the images that we had as we came up with the theme of the infinite flow. And inviting in the next 4 weeks, including today, all of us to step into the infinite flow of abundance that's flowing effortlessly through our lives. Now, this is about all forms of abundance. It's about that place in our life where we hit a wall and want to continue to persist in believing in lack or not enoughness. It might have to do with time for some of us, or love, or opportunity, or peace, or money, or support, or friendship. Anywhere in our life where we're feeling that sense of lack, the principle that we teach and that our teaching stands for, abundance and that infinite flow, can help us to manifest and continue to move through. I personally love talking about abundance. Some ministers don't. Some ministers are nervous about it and some congregations are nervous about it because they think that the minister's only talking about it to get their money. That's not my agenda. I've had a vision of abundance for years. I believe and can sense a world on this beautiful earth, a planet where all beings' needs are met, especially the core needs that humans have. I feel that the abundance that flows to this universe, if it could be embraced by humanity in a powerful way, that's how we could end people who are experiencing homelessness or food insecurity. That's how we could have it be that all beings share their gifts and talents in some way that serves the world and that they feel fulfilled in giving themselves into their life. I have a vision that that's possible. But every time I have that vision, what I feel told by that infinite presence within me is it's sort of like the peace song we sing every week, that it begins with me. And it begins with each one of us choosing to end, to whatever degree we can, the story of lack and limitation that we fall prey to all the time. The continual belief that there's not enough of these things. Now, I recognize that in the factual world, there often appears not to be enough. But I know from a spiritual perspective that the first step to making a change in that is to challenge that belief and begin to open myself up to a greater sense of believing. A couple of metaphors that I like that embrace this include the sun. That's my favorite one. Because it's so easy for us humans to imagine the sun shines. Just notice, if you will, for a minute, that the sun is no respecter of persons. The sun never says, I'm shining on everyone but Sherry today. Right? The sun never says, well, I'm not shining in that city because I'm upset with them. They're not doing the right thing there. I'm not going to shine here or there. The sun, in fact, when the clouds are present, there's still sunshine. The literal elements of light are still present even when we can't see the sun. Now, you or I might have grown up in a place where it was more cloudy and we didn't see the sun all the time, or it rained a lot. We might have even grown up in a home where they closed the windows all the time and we rarely saw the sun. Does that mean the sun doesn't exist? Does that mean the light is not a part of our experience? No, not at all. We can't escape the sunshine. It is woven into the very fiber and fabric of our being, into our DNA, into our literal cells. Light is woven into who and what we are. We couldn't escape it if we tried, unless we went off the planet out into the atmosphere somewhere, and then there'd be some other form of light that would shine upon us. This is the nature of God. This is the nature of abundance. This is the nature of this infinite flow that we're talking about. So you and I might have our stories and might have had our lived experience and might have our habitual ways of thinking and approaching any topic, any place in life where we are searching for expansiveness. But our stories mean nothing to the infinite that is still shining any more than our willingness to walk around with an umbrella all the time, screaming and crying about there not being any sun means anything to the sun shining upon us. It's still there no matter what happens. So it seems to me that to access that infinite abundance is all about each of us individually and collectively being willing to do the work to shift our perspective and our awareness so that we access the infinite abundance. And I believe that Mile High, this teaching that we embrace and that many centers like us all over the planet embrace, is one of the places that people can begin to learn this. So one thing that we did is we also see that this is like an aperture, that we can open the aperture of the camera of our consciousness and gain more light. So we asked some Mile High congregants, how have they experienced this here at Mile High Church? How have they experienced how this teaching, this church, allows them to live a life in tune with infinite abundance? And so we're going to hear from a few of them now via video. I'd like to roll that video, please.
Being at Mile High allows me to open up to a relationship in God. It provides me the tools and resources to have a life that's grounded in foundational spiritual truths. And then it surrounds me with a community of loving, beautiful people that remind me of the blessings of this world.
The teachings here have just raised my awareness to this concept of inflow and outflow. Being in the flow enriches my life just through sort of intangible sense of feeling good, feeling like a better version of me, feeling closer to what I was placed on this earth to demonstrate.
Mile High Church helps me feel that infinite flow in my life by reminding me that I already have everything I need. There's an abundant flow in this universe that already exists, that's working for my good. And the classes and the ministers and the teachings at Mile High Church remind me that all I need to do is get out of the way, allow that to flow through my life, and I don't have to do it by myself. There's a whole community, there are so many resources, and the support is there. I just have to let it flow and open to that, and it opens more doors in my life than I could have ever hoped for.
Impressive beings of light. And what's fascinating too about a couple of them, Katie and Nicole, both came up through our youth programs. Yeah, and so it's amazing, right? Katie was, I can't remember how old she was, and Nicole was 5 years old when she first came here. What a blessing to have this teaching so early. And many of us say, I wish I would have had it earlier. Well, we've got it now. We've got it now. They've got it. We've got it. And this is an invitation for us to step more fully into that infinite flow for ourselves. And so today we're talking about stepping into the flow. Next week we'll talk about trusting the flow. But today we're stepping into it. What does it take to step into it, to consciously step into it? And I think it takes some things that we're used to hearing about around here. But the first thing it takes is exactly what Laura just sang about. A lot of times when we feel a lack in our lives, we think if I could just get something and bring it to me, if I could just get more time in the day, if I could just get someone to love me, if I could just get someone to see me and see how talented and skilled I am, if I could just get more money, if I could just get more support, everything would be fine. And what an illusion that is, because the truth is, when the infinite nature of life is providing all that good for us, and we are accountable to open up our awareness to be in receivership of it, it's really more about letting go, isn't it? So her song, first assignment for us all this week, is the mantra, I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. I think it's time for the letting go. It's time for the letting go of ideas and concepts and things that no longer serve us, blocks to our awareness. And I love what Alan Cohen, the great author and speaker and teacher, says. He says, I leave claw marks in everything I'm asked to let go of. And I like that because we cling, don't we, to our mental equivalents. We cling to our ideas. We cling to our worry. If someone says, oh, I don't know if you need to worry about that, we will argue with them about why we need to worry about that, right? We cling and we have a hard time sometimes really letting go. Sometimes it's because cherished beings in our life who were around us, taking care of us, told us things that aren't true. So the first thing I'm inviting us to let go of is blocking habits, habits of mind, habits of activity, habits of worry, habits of not setting good boundaries and letting people take advantage of us, habits of spending time and money and energy in things that no longer serve us. And my mother, Linda Frazee, who is a motivational speaker, she has a private practice where she's done counseling and teaches the Enneagram, has told in some of her speaking a story that has impacted me over the years that I've told in financial abundance classes. A true story about a young girl who went to an amusement park with her grandmother. And her grandmother was often a little worried about money a lot of times. And she gave the little girl a $20 bill and told her granddaughter, you can spend this any way you want today. So the little girl put the $20 in her pocket, and she wisely decided she would move through the amusement park and throughout the day look at the options of things she could buy, and at the end of the day she'd buy what she wanted. So at the end of the day she'd found what she wanted. She and Grandma go to the store to purchase it, and when the little girl reached inside her pocket after going on all those rides, her 20 bill was gone. She started crying because she knew she'd lost it. And her grandmother, who, as I said, worried all the time about money, gave her her first lesson by saying to her, you stupid girl, you should have spent it sooner. Now imagine this young woman grows up. She can attract money. Money comes to her easily. But can she keep it? No. She spends it as fast as she gets it. And she comes to someone like my mother to say, I don't understand. I don't understand why I can't hang on to money. I don't understand why I can't save it. I don't understand why it comes, but it never stays. And so working with someone like my mother, she discovers this memory of this story, of this key moment in her life where her grandmother, I'm sure, was thinking she was being loving and kind to teach her a lesson about money, but it was a lesson in lack, unfortunately. So this woman had to undo that lesson. She had to look at the habits she had of thinking, the habits of approach she had, so that she could change that experience and shift into new habits. Indeed, all of the research that I found said that we can't just let go of bad habits. We have to replace them with new habits. We have to find new ways to approach life, new ways of thinking, new ways of speaking, new ways of being. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, says you should forever increase this receptivity when he's talking about the flow of life, continuously extending and expanding your comprehension. So here's a good habit for us to get into practice. He says, declare 100 times a day, good and more good is mine. Good and more good is mine. There is no limit to the good that is mine. Everywhere I go, I see this good. I feel it. I experience it. It presses itself against me, flows through me, expresses itself in me, and multiplies itself around me. It's about affirming, claiming a new thought, a new idea for ourselves, which is very related to my next one, which is bold intention. So it's getting rid of habits that block us from that good and then having bold intention. As I teach classes here, one of my favorite classes to teach is our Prosperity Plus class. In it, we focus on the work of Mary Morrissey and watch videos from Mary and learn prosperity principles that are often appear at first to be related to financial abundance. But really, here's where we start. We start at looking at intention in 4 specific areas of life. We look at intention in health and well-being, We look at our intentions in love and relationships. We look at our intentions around our vocation, and we look at our intentions around time and money. And we cast a big vision. And then we talk about not only casting that vision, but then being present to that vision every day, being willing to presence ourselves and bring us back to that intention, because intention creates a container for us. Intention is one of the most powerful openings of that aperture that we've ever seen. And I love teaching it and participating in it and watching as students do that holy sacred work, along with the uplift, honestly, of being generous, of practicing tithing and serving and giving time and money out to the world, and feeling all of that uplift that lifts up our intentions and helps us feel that sense of joy and abundance. It has transformed lives. And shameless plug, I will be teaching that class in June, on June 7th. So if you'd like to join me for it, please do. And this is part of why I love it. The power of intention for us individually and collectively cannot be talked of or spoken of enough. Indeed, as you came in today, you were handed a card. We call this our giving intention card, and it's a part of our yearly tradition for our fiscal year, which begins July 1st. We invite those in our community who feel as though this is their church and they want to continue to feed it with their abundance to fill out this card. And we ask you today to take this card, or if you feel ready to fill it out today and leave it, there are containers in the lobby, but take it and put it on your altar, pray over it, think about it. I want to call out, though, that this card is not just for our church. I say, firstly, this card is a bold intention for any of us who fill it out. Because what we are saying when we fill it out is, I intend to be a place where good flows. I intend to be a place where financial abundance flows. And out of that flow, I intend to be someone who shares at least a little bit of that with my church. I intend to be in the flow of receivership. So by filling out the card, I am saying yes to the infinite flow that flows through me. And by turning it in and sharing with the church and the board what we're planning to do, we're saying yes to being a place where we're giving out. And that receivership and giving completes the cycle of abundance and makes us even more available to the good that God is that flows through us. Wise Alan Cohen also says to us, do not wait until the conditions are perfect to begin. He says, beginning makes the conditions perfect. So this is our invitation for anyone who feels called to allow those conditions to be perfect, begin for themselves. Those of you online or anyone here can go to our website and fill out the card there if you would like. It's totally up to you, and we ask you with love and joy. We'll be asking in the next few weeks for everyone to consider an opportunity to join us. And then the second part is, not only does it support us individually, we set an intention for our church. We set an intention for our church to continue to thrive. We set an intention for our belonging, and as Josh said, our ownership of this church, our partnership with Josh and me to continue to see this church thrive for ourselves and all others who come after us in the next year. So it's an opportunity to use the power of intention powerfully and consciously. And the last one is blessed forgivingness. So when I first started hearing the great masters in my lifetime, Edwin Gaines and Mary Morrissey, talk about specifically financial abundance and forgiveness, I will admit I didn't get it. I thought, what the heck does forgiveness have to do with how much money I have? I don't get it. But I trusted them. And I also heard that song that Laura sang for the first time, right about that same time. And there's a line in that song that really got me. For the sake of the rest of my life, I'm willing to surrender it all. The guilt and the fear, the anger, the tears, the resentment, those things she sang, and that hit me. And I thought, you know what? For the sake of the rest of my life, how am I harming myself by continuing to hang on to my anger and resentment and frustration? And so I began a conscious process of forgiving my abusers, of forgiving the people who'd betrayed me, who'd hurt me, who'd made fun of me, who'd broken my heart. I began to consciously forgive, and I admit that the minute I started doing that, my life began to expand in ways I could never have imagined, including financially. And I believe that that is because when we are in anger, judgment, resentment, that aperture is very small. It's harder for that light that we are to get through. Doesn't change the nature of the light at all. Just like closing the shades at your house doesn't change the nature of the sun at all. But being in resentment and anger and fear is like closing the shades of my own soul, of my energy, of the truth that seeks to be expressed through me as I remain steadfast to unforgiveness, as I remain steadfast to the stories of what's been done to me versus the story of who I really am. Forgiveness invites me into who I really am. And the minute that I started that, life changed. The great Matt Kahn, who's coming here on June 3rd, says, every adversity in your life will come to an end the moment you stop blaming yourself or anyone for it. And that's what I've experienced. A huge part of abundance is being willing to let go of pain and unforgiveness and resentment and anger and judgment, and begin instead to embrace love and peace and wholeness. The wisest beings throughout the ages have been telling us this. Jesus used to say to his followers to forgive 70 times 7. One of the things that I did was for 7 days, I forgave 70 times. Writing, I forgive, and I had quite a few names that I had to do this with, and it took me some time, but I did it. And now I am free. I am free of those resentments. I am free of that pain. I am free of that story. Now those stories are things that occurred, but they don't charge me. They don't light me up. They don't keep me from who I really am. That's an important thing for us to practice. I'm fortunate that I get to teach in our ministerial school here at Mile High Church. And this past few weeks, I was teaching our ministers about speaking. And I make them all come and bring stories and humorous stories and inspirational stories that they can tell. And it really serves them in growing their skills, and it serves me in borrowing lots of good material. And one of our students named Jean Lean brought a beautiful story that I remember from a long time ago about another Jean named Jean Harper. In 1959, Jean Harper was in the 3rd grade. Her teacher asked all of the class to write what they wanted to be when they grew up. Jean was living in Northern California at the time, and her father was an airline pilot, crop duster. She loved planes, and she loved everything about flying. And so she wrote to her 3rd grade teacher that she had plans to be an airline pilot, crop duster, jump out of the parachute, and to be a commercial airline pilot. She turned it in, and the next day her teacher came and put the paper down, face down on her desk with a big old F on it, and said, "That is a fairy tale. Girls cannot fly planes." Well, Jean was humiliated and sad, and she went home and she told her father about this, and her father said, "Oh, that teacher doesn't know what she's talking about. Look at Amelia Earhart. Amelia Earhart was a pilot." And that kind of cheered her up a little bit, but she went through her young life sort of sharing her plans every once in a while in the 60s, and people just would bat her down. That's not going to happen. Girls can't fly planes. Who do you think you are? That's never going to occur. You need something else. And so when she got to high school, in her last year in high school, her English teacher was Mrs. Doris Slayton. And Doris asked the kids to write an essay about 10 years from now, where do you see yourself? And Jean thought, oh, that dream of being a pilot. But she said, no, I can't do that. And she thought, well, maybe I could be a flight attendant, but I'm not pretty enough. Maybe I'll just get married. And then she said, oh, yeah, but what guy would want me? And then she said, 10 years from now, I could be a waitress. I could do that. And so her dream, is, while being a waitress is a great thing to do, great service, that wasn't her dream, but she picked that dream instead. And she turned it in to the teacher. A few weeks later, the teacher came, and just like her third grade teacher, plopped it down on the desk, but there was no grade. And she said to the class, okay, everyone, now on this side of the paper, here's what I want you to do. Take a moment and imagine that you had limitless skills and abilities, access to the best schools, any training you could ever want, access to any money, financial support you could ever need, and that the way was made for you. What would you do then? This excited Jean, so she wrote again about her dreams of being a pilot, enthusiastically. And the teacher, Mrs. Slayton, after they were all done writing, leaned forward on her desk and she said, okay, class, I'm going to tell you a secret. You do have limitless abilities and talents. You do have access to education. You do have access to financial abundance if you're willing to work for it. You can make any dream you want come true, but you're going to have to make it happen. You're going to have to pursue your dreams. And this touched Jean deeply. She went up to the teacher afterwards and she shared her dream, and the teacher said, well, you've got to do it. You've got to do it. This turned Jean's life around. And she did do everything that was in that fairy tale in third grade. Jean Harper did do hundreds of parachute jumps. She did fly crop duster flights. She did even seed clouds. She did become a pilot. It took her 10 years of hard work, and at first it was mostly in smaller aircraft as a co-pilot, and she still had to endure every once in a while that pushback from people in her industry who said she couldn't do it because she was a girl, that sort of thing. But in 1978, United Airlines brought her on with 3 other women to become the first commercial airline pilots with their airline, and that was in the midst of our U.S. allowing 50 women to become commercial pilots. So she became a commercial pilot, and she retired in 2013. And in 2013, she flew I get the 737, was it? I think it is. I always get the aircraft messed up, and my husband will be upset because he likes me. So here's a photo of Jean, by the way, in her cockpit flying. She says, I chose to believe my teacher, and she rolled up for her last flight in her 757 to the gate of her hometown, her new hometown, Denver, at Denver International Airport. And there was 2 fire trucks there with the water going, and she got to walk underneath that archway as everyone at the airport and United Airlines celebrated this beautiful accomplishment of Jean Harper. I think this is a powerful story. Yes, yes. And today, as I complete this message, I want to represent Mrs. Slater and look at us all and say to us, we know about the infinite flow. And we have access to all the gifts and talents we could ever need to live the life we would like to live. We have access to all the resources that are necessary to live the life we need to live. We just have to get about choosing it and saying yes to it. During this program, this week, I invite you, all of us, to let go of our habits, to set new intentions, to do our forgiveness work, to let go and to recognize that whatever is necessary is available in this universe through that flow for us to create dreams, to live our life, to step forward in beautiful and bold ways. And with that, let us pray. I invite our practitioner prayer partners to join me if they choose to in this prayer by standing. And as they take that stand, we take a stand together to recognize the infinite light and love that God is everywhere present, shining brightly, boldly, and powerfully in, through, and as all creation. We breathe it in right here and right now, just as we breathe in the sunlight, even though we're indoors and we can't technically see that sun shining, but we know that that light is here in this room, and we breathe it in. And we know that even though in our life right now, we may not as easily see the presence of God. We recognize that it is here, and we breathe it in, and we take it in, and it flows into us, through us, and as us. And it inspires and uplifts us, and we feel that guidance and that call and that voice within us that says, oh, my beloved one, yes, live that life that is calling, This is a life of abundance. There is more than enough good. There is more than enough God. There is more than enough for any dream or desire that we choose to step into. And so we feel that holy, sacred yes calling to us, beckoning us forward into our life beyond this beautiful community, walking in a pathway of infinite abundance, choosing consciously this day to step into the flow. I accept and affirm this for each one of us now as I give thanks that this is so. I know this, affirm this, and shall continue to affirm this throughout these 4 weeks for every single one of us, accepting passionately the truth of who we are. I let go, I let God, and I simply let it be. And so it is. Amen.
When you move through me, when you move through me, you give me the confidence to take back my sins. When you move through me, when you move through me, give me the confidence to take back my innocence.
Thank you, Laura Berman. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes. And as we take this time now to consciously step into that place of abundant living, I invite us to recognize and own our abundance and give back into the life of this community, to give back in our finances, to give back in our prayers, to give back from our affirmations of good for everyone in this room and everyone online and everyone at Mile High Church and everyone on the planet. We just take this moment to step into the infinite energy of generosity. And if it's your day to give financially, you can do so through our texting to give. You can go to our website. You can mail something in. Those of you who are in the room with us, our ushers will pass baskets, and we have containers outside. Thank you. Thank you for your generosity. And as we do this together, let's say this affirmation aloud. Please say with me: divine love as me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. And so it is.
Someone sold me this life, but I lost the receipt. And now I'm looking for answers, but with no guarantee. Too much time in my own mind, too much time moving straight ahead. They say there's a source within me I can turn to instead. I put my hopes down, save them for a rainy day. The sun is shining, so why are my skies turning gray? And if I lift myself over these clouds up ahead, I will sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah, yeah. I thought that I was just perfect, consuming all I could find, happiness in my own chaos, with no reason or rhyme. Too much noise in my own space, too much noise on the outside. They say the regrets of a life left behind. I just trust in the knowing of the one so divine. So much faith in the unseen, so much faith I thought was never mine. The strength I knew was in me was enough for me to find my hopes are there. Now my fears have gone away. The sun is shining and I live for this day. And I lift myself over these clouds up ahead and I sing hallelujah, sing hallelujah, I sing hallelujah, I sing hallelujah, yeah.
Laura Berman, so grateful to have you with us today. Mile High Band. Thank you, Dr. Michelle Medrano. Hey, for those who are here in the room, if you're new to our church, we have a welcome center just right in the middle of the lobby. Come over there. I'll be over there today. I'd love to meet you. And there's wonderful volunteers who would love to tell you more about our church. And if you're watching online, you probably know where to go, milehighchurch.org, to learn more about us there. Also, so grateful to be welcoming these incredible prayer practitioners. What a wonderful opportunity for those in the room today to come and get an inspiring affirmative prayer from one of these beautiful individuals. And if you're online, right on our watch page, there's a button on the bottom that will take you to a Zoom room where you can experience a prayer with a licensed practitioner right there. Also want to let everyone know we had these terrible racially motivated shootings that took place last week, and there was 3 of them actually, and Reverend Millie Forsberg is going to be holding a place of vigil and dialogue in our chapel after the service today for those who are here in the room. So if you'd like to just come in and say a prayer and just be a part of that and hold space, we do the best that we can do in response to these terrible circumstances, and grateful to Reverend Millie for doing that today.
That's
Thanks,
wonderful.
Michelle.
Yeah, let's acknowledge Reverend Millie for that. This Wednesday night, Reverend Zamira Jazwerska and I are going to be doing a very special Wednesday night. It's a Taizé-inspired Wednesday night, so we'll be lighting candles, setting intentions, singing and chanting together. It will be very contemplative, so we'd love to have you right here in this very room with us at 7 o'clock Wednesday evening. We also are accepting applicants to the Board of Trustees right now, and so if you are a member, if you've taken a class and you'd like to join our leadership and be a part of our board, you can find the application at our website at milehighchurch.org. And lastly, classes launched this last week. We had a wonderful set of classes, and even though it's week 2, we still invite you to get enrolled. We'll take enrollees for the next week, so go to the website and check out all the offerings, everything from Beyond Limits, spiritual practices, self-mastery, all sorts of wonderful classes coming up. We'd love to have you with us. And now if you'll stand, please, we're going to do the Benediction and Peace song. We give thanks for the love and the light and the wholeness that embraces and expresses fully through us now. We go out and we choose to be it, to share it, to live it. And we are so grateful for this truth that is us. Thank you, life. We let it be, we let it go, and so it is.